A 1, 2, 3.
Gonna walk that promenade, yeah, we're gonna rock that promenade, be the talk of that promenade, looking for a star drifter, not a shapeshifter, lots to do and more to see, sweet sticks from a jump tree, oh, oddities, opportunities, free advice, but not for cheap, oh, gambling wheels, shaded deals, meet me back here tomorrow, please. Walk that promenade. Yeah, we're gonna rock that promenade.
Hello and good evening. Star Trek DS9 Season 7 Episode 3 titled Afterimage is over, and it has been since 1998. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast in 2023, 25 years later, to talk about this episode as we continue our ongoing journey to watch every episode of Star Trek DS9 and talk about it and review it. I'm Dave Mader, and I'm joined with Kevin Millard tonight. How you doing tonight, Kevin?
I'm doing good. I guess I'm gonna have to pay attention today.
I guess it's just you and me, so it's how it goes. I was just looking at all the names we have in our credits, and it was like, not so many tonight, but that's okay. We did move our night tonight. We're normally on Monday nights for the season 7, but we went on Tuesday night because I had a meetup last night with some of the other Federation podcasters, including André, Myette, and Chris Murphy and Jaemeel Robinson, just to, meet each other in person. Imagine that, because André was in town. And sorry for the delay getting started tonight. I was having technical issues with my microphone. First my camera, then my microphone. I broke my microphone when I was trying to fix my camera. And all of that aside, let's get back to the episode itself. Afterimage, the 3rd episode of season 7, the first Ezri Dax focused episode in the series and in the season, and we're here to break it all down. Spoilers ahoy! And break. So that's just a few little stats about this episode. The episode written by Renee Echeverria, directed by Les Landau, and it aired originally October 12th, 1998, and it I would say this is, by definition, a bottle episode. Wouldn't you say? They don't leave the station. They don't even go to the Defiant.
No guest stars.
No guest stars. No other sets. Well, I guess you can say Andrew Robinson's kind of a guest star, but not really. He's basically a member of the cast as well. That's like, I guess, having gone into the desert in the last couple episodes, they felt like not doing that. Oh, maybe not just you and I, Kevin. There is another.
Hello.
Jody Simpson, coming to us from the station, coming from his orbit around Terok Nor.
On his way to Bajor. Or from Bajor. Running from Bajor.
I'm running out of air, guys. I'm running out of air.
Yeah, let me out. So we're here. Glad to have you with us, Jody.
My shirt looks really weird. Anyway.
You got that green shirt, eh? So,
it's not green. It's blue. But like the chroma keys, I guess, messing it up. I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's a tactina, but that's okay. Okay, so we're just talking about this episode from 25 years ago, almost to the month. The debut of Ezri Dax. Let's look at the screenshots. This episode, plot wise, won't take us much to get through, because it's pretty
because there ain't much of one.
There isn't much of one, and it's a bottle episode. I think the purpose of this whole episode is to just let Nicole DeBoer's Ezri Dax character sort of find her legs a little bit. I think it does an okay job, but it's like, and I think that they were trying to deal with things like PTSD and some other issues that in 1998 were maybe not as top of mind. we're looking at it through the lens of today, here in 2023, almost 2024. Ezri Dax now here on the station. She was briefly introduced to the staff at the end of the second episode, as Ben Sisko and Jake Sisko known her like 5 minutes longer, and she's talking to Morn about all the people on the promenade, but Morn's just looking at her with kind of that blank expression he always has, and he's like, "You have no idea." She's like, "You have no idea who I am," and I don't think he does, but it was an okay gag, I guess, to start off the episode. Morn just ends up walking away, and then Ezri walks by the Bajoran temple, to where, of course, Jedzir Dax was killed not only 4 episodes before this, by the Pa Wraith or Dukat or some combination thereof. So she ends up going into the temple to look at the orb, runs into Kira, and stating that she, this is where she was killed. It's actually not where Jedzir died. Jedzir died in the infirmary. But she sustained injuries that led to her death here. I don't know, maybe I'm splitting hairs, but she didn't actually die in this room. She was attacked in this room. I get that the damage was done here, so I guess it's close enough. But anyway, Kira doesn't like to think about that. This is a holy place.
There's not much for Kira to do in this episode.
No, like this is the only scene and then at the end, right? Like she's like,
yeah, she's at the party. That's about it.
Come to dinner because Oda just watched me chew or whatever.
But how nice is it for Dax to find out that Kira is like, yeah, I don't think about it. I don't. I just come here anyway, and I'm like, yeah, it's a temple like any other.
Right. It's the only one on the station that we know of, and so being as devout as Kira is, she's coming to services no matter what. So Ezri and her have this sort of awkward exchange. And she ends up walking out of the room. We get a little bit of a jump here, and Ezri's at the bar. That's what
they should have called this episode. Awkward exchange.
Awkward exchanges. Afterimage. We find out because Quark's very friendly to Ezri, unlike Kira, who serves her some blood wine, the good stuff, not that swill. But Ezri doesn't like blood wine. She doesn't like Raktajino either, as we found out last episode.
She really doesn't like anything Klingon.
Doesn't like anything Klingon. Doesn't like a lot of what Jedzir liked. So they're very different women. Despite
yes, but then that at least plays into Pouty Worf all episode. So
Pouty Worf. Well, speaking of such, Quark's a little confused as to why she would want to leave, because Ezri says, "I'm going to go back to my ship, the Destiny, and whatever," and Quark wants her to stay.
That might be the biggest problem I have with this episode, is the fact that they keep teasing me that she's leaving and then she stays at the end.
It's a tease.
It's just a tease.
I'll tell you what my biggest issue with the episode is, but when we get to it.
I think it's probably the same as mine, but we'll see.
Okay, we'll find out. We'll see. We'll see. I think it's maybe all of ours. We'll see. Anyway, but just as Ezri's talking to Quark, look who walks into the bar. Worf. And
Pouty Emo Worf.
Ezri smiles at him, to which he is not into it. He is not feeling this. He's he walks kind of right out, or no, there's kind of like this really cool
but this man was married to a Trill.
Yes,
he totally understands this. He gets all of it. He's fully aware of how this works.
Right.
I have no idea why he acts the way he does.
Because the writers decided he does.
Because he's
so
Worf.
Silly.
Because he's Worf. Worf always acts this way all the time for everything. He is.
But he's the greatest character in Star Trek, according to some people.
Always all in his feelings.
Not the people that are currently on this panel, but
he got hit with a barrel and wanted to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Like, of course,
Sam, no, it's not my first
he
time
reacts
on.
to everything.
Yeah.
I've been on this channel many times.
No, on D Space, I think he's asking.
No, I don't think so. I think actually I have been on an episode or two before.
I think you might have been, yeah.
Maybe.
I can't remember exactly when, but maybe. I think this first.
I wasn't a regular. Let's put it that way.
First time this season, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
So Worf, it's awkward. Ezri goes, "What the hell?" and then he walks out. That's the teaser. So, you kind of know what kind of episodes you're in
Yeah,
for.
This is a straight up Enterprise level teaser.
Maybe. Get the title card after the credits, after image. Cisco in his office looking at a pad. Here's the door chime to his office, but nobody's there. What's going on? Then he finds out it's the back door. The seldom used back door to Captain Cisco's office.
There's so many jokes.
It would have been funnier if she had popped out of that access panel that
Ramen Quirk.
Oh yes, Rob,
yeah.
Yeah,
that would have been better. Yeah,
yeah. Like Cisco was like, they were like,
and
yeah,
she's like, I met this Fringy who told me about this.
Right. Yeah, but Cisco's super happy to see her, invites her in, and she's struggling with all her past lives and pronouns and all those things, but didn't want to come through ops because she didn't want to run into Worf. She tells Cisco about the weird, awkward encounter at Quark's in the teaser. And she's like, he's so in pain. I was his wife, I can tell. Beyond this episode, guys, I just really love this model of the USS Daedalus
that's way better than most of this episode.
Yeah, like I love this ship design. But I digress. I get maybe Cisco served on one like that at some point. Yeah. Anyway, they have like a sit. I actually do like the way Avery Brooks is really trying in these scenes with it.
He is, yeah. No, him and Garrick, I think, are both great in this episode. It's just everybody else is terrible in it.
Well, I just don't like the way some of it's written. It's not even necessarily all the
performances. Yeah, I think the writing's the bigger problem here. Yeah.
In particular, and let me get to it, and then I'm going to do my rant.
She's a bit of a Barclay character at first, and I don't enjoy the Barclay characters.
Yeah, just like that bumbly, nervous.
That's a good way to explain it, actually. Yeah,
sort of. Yeah, like the new kid, but it's kind of understandable. Then we have this scene here in Quarks. It's O'Brien, Bashir, and Odo and Garrick sitting around a table, and they're talking about the Holosuite program. They're going to do the Battle of the Alamo, and so I guess Davy Crockett and who I don't know the legend of the Alamo.
I don't either. It doesn't matter.
Like my understanding is Davy Crockett and the other guy, they fought a bunch of Spanish people and they'd lost at the Alamo. It was like kind of like that.
Honestly, this is one of the first of 3 times I fell asleep during this episode. So,
but I kind of want to see this. I want to see Odo play General Santana or whatever, and the bad guy, I guess.
Well, he's a shapeshifter. The guy could be anything, really.
Sure. But yeah, it was interesting, like hearing that. Anyway, they're not going to get holo costumes, guys. They're getting real costumes sewn by Garrick for this.
Why would you? He's a plain simple tailor.
I guess, yeah. So, but Garrick says, "No, sorry, I can't get them done in time." We also find out that everyone is like crowded around Garrick here, like banging into him with their glasses and everything.
I've never seen Quark so busy.
Yeah, but everybody on like their side of the table is like completely fine. So I think like Garrick being uncomfortable, maybe they should have switched seats.
And they don't even really. And if you look at like even the screenshot, kind of shows you some of this. It's not that busy behind them. It's only busy behind Garrick.
Only behind Garrick.
Yeah. Which I guess is supposed to show us his anxiety with spaces and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I love here when he snaps and they're like, "That was a bit harsh." I was like, "No, it wasn't."
No, he was like, "I don't like feeling crowded or people hovering over me."
Well, he has anxiety, and I think this is and I myself have anxiety, and I get where they're going with this. I don't think it was necessarily the best way written, but I think Garrick did a good job of portraying anxiety. I think he did a pretty decent job at that, but it's just
I give full marks.
It's just out of character, like really out of character. So
I give full marks to Andrew Robinson for
absolutely
in the episode.
He's one of the shining beacons in this episode.
Absolutely. So he walks off here. There's kind of like everyone at the table's like, "That was weird." Garrick acting a little weird, a little bit of a time jump. And then Garrick's in his shop a little bit later. He mentions that he couldn't get the costumes done for O'Brien and Bashir because he was cracking codes for the war effort, Cardassian codes. You know, and we see here he's sort of has like this panic attack, anxiety, whatever, you know, however you want to characterize it, but he's not doing well. He's having a bout of claustrophobia. Odo walks in, and we can't even hear Odo throughout the scene. He's just like kind of muted, you know.
Well, because he's obviously having an anxiety attack, and
right,
you kind of close yourself off when that happens. So
yeah, so but we're seeing it from Garrick's perspective. And you know, and Garrick, Odo's just like, we just see him mouth the words like, Garrick, are you okay, and stuff like that. Eventually Garrick here collapses, and Odo calls for the medical emergency. Cut over to sick bay, oh I'm sorry, the infirmary. And you know, they're, you know, they're, Bashir's looking him over here, saying, well, physiologically there's nothing wrong with him. That, you know, so they go out into the promenade, which is because he says this was claustrophobia, even though you weren't in a claustrophobic space. You know, and Garrick's like, I need some time off from cracking Cardassian codes, which Sisko does not like. He's like, what? Well, we need you cracking those codes, Garrick. Like, you're my Cardassian code breaker.
But you notice he doesn't say that to Garrick. He's like, well,
No.
How long do you need? And then when Garrick leaves, he turns to Bashir. He's like, I can't have this.
I can't have this. I can't go to Bill Ross with this.
yeah.
You know, so this is a problem. Get
So-
my house in order.
So if he's already cracked the codes, then why can't he just make something to crack the codes automatically? Like bloody, we had the Enigma machines and stuff like that. Like
You mean like
it's
an AI.
yeah, like it. You know, at this point we're a little bit ahead of time of what we have now. So it's like, you know, it would only make sense. Like he shouldn't be really that needed at this point. Like he should be able to kind of, you know, make the decipher and then, you know, give it to the computer to do it, kind of thing.
He says he has to do it himself, and it's only
I
Garrick
guess
can
there's
do
some
it.
sort of nuance that the computer.
He helped invent the codes, he says, or the basic codes.
All the more reason why he should be able to write something.
Yeah, I
and
don't know.
decode it quickly.
Yeah, shouldn't take that
Well,
long then.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, so then we have this other scene here with Ezri standing on her head because Sisko goes to see Ezri. Because apparently this is something her previous host, Emily, the gymnast, used to do. And again, Avery Brooks really tried hard, you know, to just like
He really is, yeah.
more than he does in a lot of other times in scenes, you know.
I think
Which is
I
odd,
think-
yeah.
I think after this episode, they drop all of these, like, I'm standing on my head because of my previous host. I'm ordering this food because of, I'm so confused.
Right.
I'm like, that just, it wears so thin
Oh,
so
it's
quickly.
ridiculous.
So fast.
yeah.
We're only in
And
episode
I know-
3, guys.
I
so
know these are supposed to be funny, but they just
they're not.
hit like
I don't
a
think
lead
they were
balloon.
even supposed to be funny. I didn't get that vibe.
It's supposed to be
Well, no, I
something.
think they're supposed to be, but that vibe isn't there. It's,
Or endearing. I guess they're trying to make us like her by making her vulnerable, right?
I think
Like,
they're trying
yeah.
to explain to us that she's a trill. And it's like, but we already
It's
know
just-
that.
it's just too much. It's they do it too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, and basically Sisko wants her to become the counselor on the station, you know, even though she, at this point, Ezri, prior to joining, was an assistant counselor, still had a lot more training to do. You know, but he's like, no, I'm going to talk to Starfleet, and, you know, I think
That's kind of Cisco's way, though. Let's. Be
I'll
honest.
talk to them. They'll get you promoted. You're good. You know, it's you know, we'll fast track you. That's how. That's how it
Cisco's like, I get what I want.
works. I get what I want.
Cisco's like, we'll shave your head, and then we'll make you a lieutenant. It'll be
We'll
fine.
shave your head, give you a goatee, everyone will love you.
Yeah, you'll be the man.
But by the end of the scene, he convinces Ezri to go try to talk to Garrick and try to help him. So she agrees to that. Then we have the scene here in Quark's where Quark approaches Bashir, who's sitting by himself having a drink. And basically, Quark says, have you met Ezri? She's the next best thing to Jedzir. You know, to which Bashir says, well, she's not Jedzir. But, you know, so Quark kind of makes it clear that he's going to try to pursue Ezri, you know, and not let her get away like he did Jedzir.
And that's about the last we see of it. Because literally, he doesn't do anything else the entire episode.
He tries to give Ezri a plate of food at the end in the
Yeah, he
reception
does that, and then he takes it away from her after.
because she's afraid Worf will beat him up for giving her food.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Right. You know, you know, but basically Quark says like, I'm going after Ezri, and if you are, and I'm going to get her first, you know,
Well, it's a competition, like everything with Quark, right?
I guess so, and so
Why did we need this? Couldn't we drop this shit when Jadzia died?
I got a bigger question. Why do we need Ezri? What is the purpose of this?
the character in general.
Yes. Yeah. Why do I need that?
Well, it's continuity.
Well, I know why they put it in, but
yeah,
why can't you just let Jadzia die and you have a couple episodes of Worf, mourning her memory and shit like that and getting over it and moving on?
I think that they wanted, I think that the fact that the Dax character had this backdoor built in to allow for the symbiote to pass to somebody else. I think that they were not going to not.
I just don't see why so late in the game we bother adding another character. I don't get it.
I think it's hard to add a character at this stage. But
it always is. Yeah, for sure.
And this, I know you guys didn't watch Babylon 5, but it happened in Babylon 5 too, where Claudia Christensen left that show.
Well, we had Ro Laren as well, right? She was introduced later on in the series, but I think she was in the 5th season.
Ro Laren, yes, but Ro Laren was really only there for a season or two before she left. It's almost like it's the reverse Pulaski thing, right? Where Pulaski was only there for 1 year, but it was early. I don't know. We can figure out, I guess we can talk a little bit more about Ezri's place in all this, but let's just talk about this particular story at the moment. So Ezri goes to see Garrick, but right away she's talking about, her past lives and her confusion things. And this conversation is just confusing mostly. Stop bringing up Babylon 5. I can't help it, Sam. There's a lot of parallels.
I wonder why that is.
It's one day you'll see it, and then you go, Dave was right about Babylon 5. Maybe we'll see.
I'm not sure anybody's ever said that, but anyway.
So guys, this initial exchange between Garrick and Ezri is mostly Ezri annoying. Ezri talking about dying in the shuttle accident when she was Tarius. The fact that she mostly talks about herself in this opening scene. Yeah. Garrick doesn't seem into
that's this entire episode. What are you talking about? She talks about herself constantly.
Yeah, it's not. I don't love this scene. Basically, it ends with Ezra saying, "Do you find sewing helps?" He goes, "Yes," and she's like, "Keep doing that."
At the end of this scene, she walks away like, "Job well done." You know what? She needs to go back. She needs more training.
I don't think you should fast track
more
her.
Training.
I think you should, there's a process here.
I think she needs to go be held back a few grades, not be thrust forward. This was annoying claptrap. It was.
Yeah, I was
like, I think they should have just promoted her to Dabo girl personally, but
I don't think this was a good psychiatric session.
No.
Nope.
I would say that
maybe for her, but not for him.
Yeah, it was no episode of Frasier. Let's say that. No tossed salad and scrambled eggs. Anyway, so she leaves. Then there's a time jump here.
Colin? Do you hear the blues of Colin?
Yeah, tossed salad and scrambled eggs. Anyway, Ezri's run into Worf here. And Worf's like, "Ensign?" And she's like, "Ensign? I was your wife." He's like, "You are not Jadzia. I don't know you, and I don't want to know you. Get the hell away from me." He's not very friendly.
Then he went back to his room to listen to My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, some Klingon acid punk.
Maybe recite some Shakespeare in the original Klingon.
Yeah, but Worf's not into it. He doesn't want to talk to her. Yeah. Anyway, then later on, Ezri's looking at the window, pondering things. She does a lot of that. She's just looking out the window, looking sort of off into space. Cisco shows up. He goes, "Guess what? I don't want to tell you I told you so, but I told you so. Garrick's all great. He's doing amazing after you talk to him."
He's an idiot too. One day, and they're all like, "Garrick's fucking fixed."
Oh yeah, totally fixed now. Yep.
Yeah, you are the best counselor in the history of counseling.
You need to go get a chocolate sundae from the replicator.
Right. Then
Job well done, Troy. I mean, Just
Yeah, they write her about as good as Troy to some of her counseling methods. Anyway, and so then but Cisco wants her to stay, become the counselor, etc., etc. But she does the whole thing with Worf makes her not want to stay. And he's like, I can talk to Worf. She's like, don't talk to Worf. You intimidate him. And he was like, me intimidate Worf, and he starts laughing. I'm like, Cisco, you intimidate everyone. Like, do you know who you are?
You intimidated Picard, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, this was a good scene though. Like he played this really well. Like the sly smile.
Every scene he's in
later
this episode,
on,
I think was good.
Yeah. Like, and and I think that Nicole DeBoer does it the best with all of her dialogue and lines and delivery. Like, this is not about her at all.
No, this is the writing. Absolutely.
Yeah. But sometimes I'm just like, I'm not super into this story, maybe because I've already been through it, but I haven't really watched this episode in 25 years again. So
neither have I, and I watched it and I'm like, wow.
It's not one I've put back on until today, so it was kind of interesting coming back to it. Anyway, so then there's this time jump in the Replomat here, where she's trying to order something with she keeps trying to order foods that her past hosts would order, but then deciding she doesn't want it. Eventually, Bashir shows up with his hot toddy. Bashir. Yeah, you want a toddy, very hot, Okay, now it's time for Dave's rant. Okay.
I think we're on the same page here, Dave.
This is the scene I fucking hate, and I'll tell you why. In the conversation, they're talking, they're having this thing, and then she says, "Stop flirting with me, Julian. Jadzia always loved when you flirted with her, but she pretended like she didn't. And if it wasn't Worf, it would have been you." What the actual fuck are we talking about here? Like, they weren't a couple. They never dated once. I would say if it wasn't Worf, it would have been Lenora Khan. And if it wasn't her, it would have been Goodwin from Lost on that friggin' stupid planet that disappeared.
The disappearing planet.
Yeah. Or Captain Baudet. Or
you're literally 20th down the line there, bud.
Or honestly, Quark first.
Even Quark before Bashir.
Never showed any interest in Bashir whatsoever.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah,
and she flirted with him all the time, according to the dialogue.
As a matter of fact, I think that this dialogue started off good. This scene started off good when she says, "Don't flirt with me. Jadzia could handle it. I can't."
That's fine. I was okay with
That's fine. But then she keeps talking, and then it's like, fuck this. It was gonna be Bashir? No way.
No, it was not.
Also, as a counselor, maybe not a good thing to say to someone who's grieving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. This just puts into question all of Ezri's memories. I'm like, do you really have Jadzia's memories? Because everything I ever saw of Jadzia and Bashir was
it also questions her career path. Because wow. That's like 101. You don't do that.
There was more between Worf and Troy than between Bashir and Dax.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's more between Worf and Quark.
Right. Yeah. And they don't even like each other. It's bizarre. Bizarre that they've
O'Brien and Jody. Come on.
And I don't know. They really leaned into this whole. It's not even a love triangle. It's like a love quadrangle with Worf, Quark, Bashir, and Dax. I guess take your pick of which version of Dax. I don't know.
No.
Negative.
Somebody
I'm
told
down.
them to write an episode, and they thought they were writing an episode of 90210.
I think that they already decided they wanted Ezri and Bashir to end up together by the end here. So I guess this is kind of setting that up. But
I'm gross.
Yeah.
I didn't like that either.
But in the middle of this conversation that I hate, it's interrupted because a medical emergency. It's Garrick in the airlock.
I like to get out. This was good.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
He
like,
does a good job portraying it too, because when you have anxiety, you just like rational thought is out the window. Like
Right.
he's like, I got to get out of here. And
he's
it's
trying
like,
to like move the air.
what are you planning on doing there, pal?
Yeah. Not much fresh air out there. Actually none. Why don't they just beam him out in this situation? But
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of that.
it was, that they were trying to get the door open, and and I did like the pullback here where you see him like pounding on the window.
Yeah.
Then there's like the cutaway here. We're on the holodeck. This is the only thing close to like thing would maybe not make it a bottle episode, but I think it's just as much of an illusion as the holodeck would have it be, they're doing sort of like meditations and whatever. Basically Garrick's saying like we're not in like a nice landscape here. There's a hollow suite wall just in front of us. I know it's there. This is not necessarily helping my claustrophobia. But Ezri doesn't have any answers for that. Again, like there's always this talk that Garrick can't go to Bajor ever, even for a day. I don't really get it, like, or one of those many moons of Bajor. If he needs some like wide open spaces, I'm sure, or maybe he can just go to like the nearest Federation colony and chill out for a week, or go to Ryza, whatever. I don't know, but
maybe the man shouldn't be in space.
Yeah, maybe not. So anyway, like Ezri leaves him here while he kind of just stares off. Seeing that he's still got the issues. Then we have this scene here in the infirmary with Quark getting something pulled out of his ear. Turns out to be like this weird thing. A sex injury. He says, I should never let me give me a hot toddy or whatever the hell it was called. So what?
Temporic tickle or something.
A temporic tickle?
Temporic tickle or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Something with tickle in it. I know that.
I was like, so is this like you got the clap in your ear? Is that what happened here?
No, he's just got a sex object put into his ear.
Oh, I
think it's just a feather.
Yeah, it's like a feather.
Oh, were they trying to get like they were trying to like penetrate?
They were tickling him and it fell into his ear.
Oh, okay. I wasn't like, maybe she left something behind or grew,
which still makes absolutely no sense. They could have come up with anything else for him to be.
Would have been incredible if it was an egg sack or something.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, that would have been way better.
Yeah, this is you think you got a shot with Ezri with that? No, I would say no. Anyway, so then Bashir goes to get some antibiotics for this because apparently it's quite the infection. Just then Worf shows up. And he throws Bashir against the wall and like assaults him, like straight up.
My favorite part of this scene is Bashir trying to get away. Trying to move Worf's arm.
Yeah,
and he can't budge it at all.
He can't move it at all. And he's like, stay away from Ezri. I saw you talking to her. He's like, what do you mean? You can't tell me who my friends are. He's like, you stay away from her, and you too, Ferengi. Yeah. And Quark's just holding his thing. He's like, oh, okay. I know
someone who is not the biggest fan of Worf. This is definitely not an episode to paint him in a good picture.
I'm not even that mad at him in this episode, really. Like, it's
he's not the biggest problem in this episode for sure, but
right. But this idea of like even Bashir was one of his like groomsmen at like when they did the whole like path to Kalhaya and everything. And now, this is actually a guy that really coveted my wife all those years. And now is going after the successor host. I don't know. It's weird. It's creepy. It's dumb.
But of course, there's dialogue that also says that he's like, that's not Jadzia. So if it's not Jadzia, why are you so fucking pissed off about this then? Like,
well, yeah, no, you're right. Like, yeah, Worf is in the wrong, and Worf does need to get over it. But all it takes is a little lecture from O'Brien for him to really get, move past that. Which is kind of what we'll get to in a bit. So, so then Ezri goes to see Garrick, who's tearing up his clothes and whatever. He's, she's like, well, how did the holodeck go? He's like, not great. This is where he gets really mean with her and starts telling her off.
I like this though because
this was great.
Yeah, this shows that side of Garrick, right? Which we don't see very often, but it does happen, and it's I like it. I think it was pretty good.
He's like, you don't even know who you are, like I just
Very good point.
like you think you can help me, like and then he gives us this whole speech, and by the end he's like, get out of here before I say something unkind.
Yeah, that's my favorite line in the whole show. Now get out of here before I say something unkind.
Yeah.
Now get out of here before I say something unkind.
Yeah, it goes.
I want that sound clip played every time I enter one of these podcasts now.
Get out of here before I say something unkind. Then she goes into the Bajoran temple and has a collapse
and has the absolute worst acted cry in probably Star Trek history. This was brutal.
Like, again, like, are you really fit to be promoted to lieutenant and become the counselor of this station?
Oh yeah,
this, I know you're going through a rough time, and I more blame Cisco than her. Like, it's just like,
well, I don't know why Cisco is really like just kind of like nonchalantly throwing her into the pack. Like, it's like she's clearly has some issues that need to be.
He just wants his Gax back. He wants his old man back.
Yeah,
his
he wants his old man back. Yeah,
right, back in the mix. And I think he looks at this as a way to sort of patch up the pain of like.
There's a lot of selfishness in this episode.
He lost Curzon, and then Jedzir came along, and I feel like he's just trying to sort of
doing the exact same thing again. Yeah,
do the exact same thing, whereas the others are all having a harder time with this, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, she goes to Cisco and says she wants to resign. And at first he's like, well, I don't know, this is kind of dumb. She's like, well, I can't do it. I'm not qualified. I got to live for Starfleet, and eventually he was like, well, maybe you can go, be one of those Trill Guardian types. Oh no, first he says, go to Trill and get the symbiote out of you. She's like, that will kill me. You already know that. He's like, yeah, right. Okay, well, never mind. But maybe
Plan B.
Maybe you can be one of those Guardians and hang out in that Trill mud and that stuff, whatever. And she's not super into that idea either. And he goes, be intimidating,
Quite frankly, you don't deserve to wear that uniform. I'll pass this on to Starfleet Command. Dismissed.
Get the hell out of here.
Now, again, why? What is that supposed to accomplish?
To rattle her cage.
Yes. For what end? To what purpose? What, like, he's just being mean. Snap out of what? She's feeling like everybody hates her, so his solution is to scream at her and tell her she's worthless.
You buck up, or like it's sink or swim, right? It's kind of like like the angry dad mentality, right? So that's she goes off and it has another like real tough moment here. Then we have that scene here with Worf and O'Brien, where Worf is sharpening his bat lift. O'Brien shows up with a bottle of blood wine. He's like, oh no, not again. I can't have no more blood wine. He's like, we can just skip to the talking, and then this is the best. He's like, Bashir sent me along to say he's sorry about getting you upset and everything here. He's like, he's sorry if he made you jealous.
This has nothing to do with jealousy.
He like swings the bat lift and almost hits O'Brien with it. But O'Brien basically says, like, how do you think Jedzir would want you to treat Ezri? He's like, I can't even, there's no way to know. He's like, you could just ask her. Like, you could just ask Ezri. She's the one person who would know. He was like, oh yeah, you got a good point there, O'Brien. O'Brien's like one of the only people who can get through to him sometimes, or the one he'll listen to. Other than Cisco, I guess, but Cisco wasn't going to go there. So he contemplates it, and that this one like all Worf really needs is one conversation, just like last episode how Martok told him to stop being mean to Quark. Like Worf might act like a jackass, but it's like very easy to like course correct him. It seems like he's not too stubborn in his ways. He just has to have this matter brought to his attention, it seems,
by someone he respects.
Yeah, I think
he would have decapitated Quark for saying the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think he would have even taken this advice from Kira,
no.
or Odo. He only from certain people, right? So that's just one of Worf's things. Then Ezri goes back to see Garrick to apologize for being a bad counselor, I guess. he's like, I wasn't expecting to see you again.
See, no, I look at this as the pity party because she's like, I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm sorry I couldn't help you because I'm clearly suck. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it was mostly like she's admitting defeat here. I couldn't help you. Da da da. And then basically, Garrick in the next few. Do you like the writing of Isri and Worf? Depends, like what you're asking about specifically there, Sam. But
generally,
like,
no.
They're generally those two's interactions not much. Like
I come around on it.
Yeah,
it does get good. Yeah.
Like later, we'll talk about that.
I guess I'll find out.
That. But at this
Not
point,
in this episode.
In this episode, it's not great. But I think that starting it here wasn't the worst idea either. Like that there would be sort of like this friction between them at first, and that like we're kind of led to this. I guess like we should kind of already know this based on what we know of the Trill, is that like it's not an option for Esri to just get together with Worf anyway. Like even
because the rules say you can't
like go back to you can be friends with your ex-husband or your past host's husband or family or children, but you can't remarry, the same person again. That's against their like that's a taboo in their society, at least.
Yeah.
Right. And the symbiote would be exiled. It would never be allowed to be joined again. If they
answer that question is I've seen all of it.
And so like it's not an option for her to get back with Worf anyway. But basically, as she's going to like have her little surrender, I'm going to the Destiny and I'm leaving forever. Garrick just basically has a nervous breakdown here, right in front of her. And she's like, "Well, you're gonna get all those, save all those lives." This is the Garrick kills it in the scene.
All those Cardassians are going to die because of me.
By helping to end the war, you'll be saving lives.
Saving lives? And what lives would I be saving? Human? Klingon? Romulan?
And Cardassian.
No, not Cardassians! They're going to fight to the bitter end. The Dominion will see to that. Don't you understand? Don't you see? I wanted to believe that I was helping my people, liberating them. All I've done is to pave the way for their annihilation. I'm a traitor. I've betrayed every...
So I really love the way they wrote this. I think it makes complete sense that Garrick would be struggling with this, like the fact that he's a defector. He's helping to kill Cardassians, basically.
This episode would be 100 times better if it was just Garrick, because we get glimpses of Garrick having a hard time, but it keeps getting spanned out with her hard time, which is not really that hard of a time. So it's like the contrast just isn't there. Like it's I don't know.
I feel more connection to the plight of Garrick because it's more relatable. Like in real life, we don't have symbiotes that we can pass from person to person.
Yeah, we can't live 300 years.
Yeah, it's not like you can die and then your
and Cisco even says it at one point. He's like, I don't know if we've got to that yet, but he says like, this is a gift. You're gonna figure this out. Like this is a gift to have 300 years behind you. Yeah. Like whereas the rest of us don't have that. Like so I like that scene as well, but this episode, if it was just all about Garrick's, getting defeated by his own anxiety and stuff like that, I think it would have been a much stronger episode.
Yeah, it certainly would. This scene is so powerful.
Absolutely.
That they do this, and then you're like you're really into it, and then it's over. Yeah, it's over, and it's over forever.
Yeah,
they don't revisit this.
And I don't even know what she did to help him.
Nothing.
Not a damn thing.
And everybody's
he had a breakdown and he moved on. That's
my problem with this episode.
Yeah,
but it wasn't like she got him there. But she was just like, "No, I'm out of here. Sorry."
She was there to listen. That was it.
I give up, Garrick, and he's like, "Oh, okay," and then he has anyway. So,
and then all you have to do is admit that what you're feeling, and all of a sudden you're totally fixed. Like, completely not how therapy works.
Yeah, talk
At
to the
all.
millions of people that seek therapy every year.
Right.
Ask them how easy that is.
Well, and that's part of the issue with some of these. I guess how they would do it now in a series versus back then. Like
I don't have a problem with how they did this per se. It's just we should have saw more of this through this season. We should have saw Garrick struggling with this. Not just a bottle episode of his emotions and then that's the end of it. Like everything else we see of Garrick isn't really anything to do with this. So it's
a little bit near the end, I'd say, when he's dealing
well,
with
that's true. Yes. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
the destruction of Cardassia by the end of the war, right?
That would be that was a bit much, but
and everything he tried to do, right? But so he's on like the good side, but he's like to go against your entire species. Imagine like you were in his place. It would be pretty weird, like if you're the only human and with a bunch of aliens, and you're like, no, humanity's bad. We're trying to kill them.
Yeah. Norman makes a good point there. He goes, like O'Brien in Hard Time and Jody in Mind's Eye. Of course, the next episode, they're always fine, which is true. But we also saw, for instance, Jordy's fascination with Leah Brahms. That's spent over a couple episodes. So it's, these type of things like that can actually continue. And if they do it nicely, it works really well. But, DS9, and DS9, in my opinion, has some of the longest stretches of episodes that carry over stuff. So it's like, you would think that this would be a prime example of how to do this, but yet this one just right under the radar.
I think it's like maybe having more of an arc, not doing it all in one episode. I think is
one
better.
Scene.
In one scene, really.
Yeah, he literally gets everything solved in one scene. Like it's silly.
Right. Anyway, but Ezri's like, you know what, Cisco, I think I can be a counselor. I cured Garrick. And I don't want to leave Starfleet. He's like, I can't send this I guess unquitting because I never sent your resignation letter in the first place. I knew this would come around. I knew what I told you to. You're not fit for the uniform.
I knew when I showed my pearly whites and my bald head, you would crack.
But what if Garrick hadn't had that episode and like she had just left on the Destiny? Is that like how he was willing to leave things?
Or I would have been.
I guess.
I don't know. Like Anyway, so she's packing her bags. She's still planning to leave because of the awkwardness with Worf. But then Worf comes to see her, and then there's this conversation.
She's staying in Starfleet now.
She's staying in Starfleet. Yeah. She's leaving the station, and Worf's like, "Well, I don't want you to leave because of me." And she's like, "Well, and then she's like, I don't think Jedzia would have liked the way I treated you." And she's like, "Well, we agree on that, So, but you
there's
think
your answer, Worf.
you also think Jedzia would have went for Bashir. So I don't know if you're so credible here. Like when Picard did not afford Sisko's resignation back in Emissary. Yeah, that's a good point, Norman. Anyway, did you guys like this kind of this final scene? I
was waiting for the Young and the Restless theme to play.
Jane would like that.
I thought this was okay. It's nice. It's short, and they don't resolve everything here, right? He's just
which is
begrudgingly acknowledging that she's going to stay and that he's going to be fine with that.
We're cool. You and I can both work here, and I won't be.
So my question is, what did she do to make Worf feel that way?
Nothing. O'Brien told her to.
Exactly, which makes no sense at all. Because if you're pissed off about the person himself, somebody else talking to you about it isn't probably going to solve all that. You might start thinking about it, but he still has to deal with her, and he's not dealing with her at all. He's just like, yeah, I guess you can hang around.
Yeah, but he was being
don't do it for me.
He was dismissing her right from the get. And so now he's at least willing to give her a chance and willing to try to have some kind of, they're allowed to talk to each other. They're just, never allowed to get married, right, or whatever. So,
which she's not interested in anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. But
they are going to hook up later.
I know.
So, but anyway,
but at this point, she's not.
Anyway, then another cutaway where she's now been promoted, guys. She did such a good job, I guess, because
such a good job with Garrick that
such a good job standing next to him while he had a breakdown.
Yep.
And then standing next to him when he woke up in the infirmary.
Right.
Oh, but she also
And then-
talked to Worf
right.
as well. She talked to Worf.
Cisco's here, like, thank you, and oh yeah, Garrick's like back on the job. That's great.
I think Jake says that he thinks Ezri's cute. I was
Yes.
like, and I
Yes.
thought about that. I was like, would it be better if Jake and Ezri ended up together?
That would have been incredible.
That would have been way better.
But then I was
Because
like,
then there would also be that, like, you know, Cisco's old friends thing kind of comes into play with that as well. So it's almost like she's dating one of his friends, right?
I
Which guess
definitely
essentially is what he would be doing. So.
I definitely like the idea of Ezri and Jake better than Ezri and Bashir, but Ezri as Curzon Dax knew Jake when he
Harry.
was in diapers, so that's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
So you know, I don't know. So throw that off.
Let's,
but-
let's take a moment to think about Harry Kim.
But I,
yeah.
I
Ezri got promoted in 2 episodes.
I do like that every time, like Jake goes after Kira, Jake goes after that Muse chick, Jake's like, hey, Ezri, all right.
Jake always likes older women. Yeah.
The older
Dude
women, yeah.
dude just needs to get laid, and he's on this fucking station. So he's like,
I bet you
gotta get something.
He introduced Cassidy and Cisco. I bet you he was trying first, and they went,
oh
"All right,
yeah,
well,
and then it
maybe
didn't
my
work out.
dad."
So he's like, well, maybe I'll get to catch her in the shower.
I bet you he did make a pass at Cassidy. Yeah, this is where he's looking at Ezri's butt.
Jake is one of the only characters I know that can kind of get more slimy as he gets older.
Yeah, this is where Quark tries to give her the plate of food. I guess there's a way of sucking up to her. Garrick says, "Back on the job, are you?" And then the exchange here with Worf at the end, where he came to the promotion party, and he just goes cheers with the blood wine or whatever.
I like that. It's not like if he had like been like, oh, this is so great, and he'd been too warm with her, that would have felt weird after this whole episode.
I would have liked him to just stand in the corner and just nod at her when she looked at him.
He'd be
Like,
like,
that would have been better in my opinion.
yeah, well, that's the end of Afterimage, guys, and that's the story.
It'll probably be another 25 years before I even contemplate watching this episode again.
You know what? Like, it's that's what the good thing with this podcast. It kind of makes us go and look some of these lesser remembered episodes.
This is definitely not a diamond, for sure.
Not a diamond, maybe. Okay, so let's do some fun facts about this episode. The details, the Delta details, if you will.
That's a lot of D's. You love the D, don't you?
Julian is surprised at Ezri stating that Jadzia enjoyed Julian's prior flirting with her, although Jadzia herself already told him this 3 years earlier during their time trapped together aboard the Defiant in Starship Down.
Oh, okay.
Andrew Robinson commented, Afterimage was a difficult episode because I'm also somewhat claustrophobic and having to go to that place is always tough. It was a very emotional trip, but an important one because it shows the passion Garrick has for his race and his planet and the agony he's experiencing by having to betray both. The Cardassian military transmissions he's been deciphering for Starfleet have helped its forces destroy even more enemy warships, and subconsciously he blames himself for the death of his fellow countrymen. The way in which the writers tied that in with Garrick's claustrophobia was superb and made the episode much more interesting to do. I also liked how they set up the relationship between the older, experienced spymaster Garrick and the young, inexperienced counselor Dax. So that was a lot of fun as well. It was less fun for us, I think.
That wasn't fun for the viewer.
But I'm glad you enjoyed it, Andrew Robinson. The writer, Rene Echeverria, said he was not entirely happy with how this episode turned out. Ezri helps Garrick sort of by serendipity, and that gives her confidence. That was the intent, although I'm not sure we pulled it off. I talked, well, at least you know, Rene.
Yeah, there was intent.
I talked to some professional therapists after they saw the episode, and they told me that was just bunk. That was disappointing to hear that we'd missed the mark, but I still think that was a good introduction to Ezri. So yeah, I think like maybe just consulting with an actual therapist, and maybe having just vetting the script in that way would have been better. They could have fine-tuned this script in some ways to make it more relatable, because she's at best like a sympathetic ear in the episode, right? Versus just like somebody actually trying to help somebody.
Which there is some importance to that, but
it was like 17th century counseling, not 23rd century counseling.
Starfleet has terrible counselors. Like, where do you think about it?
we only have seen a few of them.
Like Troy was okay.
Troy, I think mostly is fine.
She didn't deal with kids correctly, but past that.
Troy is mostly fine. I think, like, you know, she's.
But she did have to deal with Alexander, so let's be honest, she's a saint.
The thing is, with Troy, whenever she had to do counseling, which was not that often, it was always it was never the end. The end of the episode was not the end of the counseling.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
For the patient, but this is the end.
Yeah.
Like Garrick is fixed.
Yeah.
He's all better, guys.
This doesn't come up again until near the end of the season, and it's like, and even then, it's not really the same thing. I guess it could be kind of portrayed a bit like that, but I don't know.
If anything, they could have just said, like, okay, Garrick, I'm going to see you every week for however long, and we're going to keep leave it like
the last scene should have been like, a week later, and Garrick's visiting her in the room that they do their counseling in. And she's like, oh, nice seeing you again, blah, 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 how has it been and stuff. And then, fades to black or something like that. But the ending to this episode is even more jarring than anything, really.
Renee Echeverria was scripting this.
Sorry, I had to laugh at this one. Barkley is an example of Troy counseling.
Oh, yeah. Well,
jeez.
He did get rid of the stutter, so
that's true. Yeah,
see that for what it's worth.
He also helped Voyager, kind of.
So Renee Echeverria said he was scripting the episode before Nicole DeBoer had actually shot any scenes. In fact, he was halfway through his first draft of the script before he even knew who was going to be playing Ezri.
That does not instill confidence.
I guess that's just how it goes. The original draft of the script focused more on Garrick than it did on Ezri. Garrick had gone on a dangerous mission for Starfleet, and at one point, to avoid capture by the Jem'Hadar, he had to lock himself inside a torpedo tube. As a result, when he gets back to Deep Space Nine and is being debriefed, he suffers a breakdown and forgets the information he was sent to retrieve.
That sounds way better.
It does. This is when Ezri would have come into the story. The problem with this structure, however, was that Ezri would have had to been a very, very effective counselor, and that would have made the scenes between her and Garrick more about psychotherapy than about Ezri's character. The plot lines were fighting each other. The person who didn't know who she was would not have been an effective therapist, and that was a major part of the story. So they radically simplified it. So the Garrick's problem was, in the second draft, and by the time he had seen Nicole DeBoer, and that gave him ideas about what to do with her, but. Anyway,
I like the choice though to make it about him betraying his people.
Yeah,
that
was perfect.
Excellent. More so than being stuck in a torpedo tube or whatever.
But I can still see how that would have worked. That would have worked well. But
sure.
And then introduce Ezri that way. Like, even introduce her in a way where we don't know who she is right away. Like, we really know who she is right away. Like, because of obviously the previous episode, but it would have been kind of nice to not have that focus of her first and then kind of gradually get into that. Oh, by the way, I'm also Dax.
Doesn't Quark say you have Jedzier's eyes or something? And like,
Bashir says that.
Bashir says that. Yeah. I can't even tell Bashir and Quark apart anymore because they're just these horn dog guys competing.
They're just competing over who gets the girl.
Yeah. Final quote here from Andrew J. Robinson. He said, Garrick is a Cardassian, and I think of them as really working for the reptilian part of their brain. They're very suspicious when anyone tries to interfere or pry or get inside their very carefully constructed perimeters. So although Garrick was suffering from this terrible anxiety that was affecting his breathing, he was driven to the fence with Ezri, daring her to get inside him and trying to stop her. But finally, his anxiety overwhelms him, and he realized that he does need her help. And in the end, he is grateful.
But he doesn't get her help. She doesn't do anything.
No, that's true.
He could have talked to a wall and had the exact same outcome.
She gave him a war update. Not even counseling, just an update.
Yeah. Just saying, hey, they're going to go to that system or something. They're going to go for a new offensive. And he was like, no. Anyway, so those are the facts. Okay, guys, let's get into the ratings. I hope I've added this. Sorry. Okay, one sec, guys. Talks amongst yourselves. 3. What's this called? Afterimage?
Afterimage, yeah.
All right. All right. Jody, where are you?
I'm probably not even in there.
I got to create a column for Jody. So if you have been on the podcast before or on DSpace,
Then it would have been there. Yeah. So maybe I haven't.
So maybe you have not ever rated an episode before.
There you go.
I just have to delete.
I can give you the ones for this season if you want.
Sure. Okay. So
Well,
give
let's
me
do today's first.
Okay, let's do Afterimage first.
Yeah.
You're up.
For me. Oh, I'm going to give it a 4.5.
A 4.5. Okay. 4.5. And the previous episodes?
So the first one I would say was probably about a 6.5 for me.
6.5.
And the second one I would say was probably a 6.
Okay. All right. So Kevin, your rating for Afterimage, please.
It's tough because there's a couple of good performances in there.
That's the problem. Yeah.
I gotta go 6.5.
6.5 from Kevin. Okay. And I think like it's a mixed bag, you know. I think we're all feeling that, right? Like some of it's good, but it's largely kind of dumb.
You know what? Change mine to a 5.5.
A 5.5.
Yeah, because there is some good stuff in there.
Okay. I'm gonna. I don't know. Like I think I feel like it's a 6. Like I think that's where I'm kind of landing. You know, it's like it's got some good scenes, but overall, I would never want to watch this again. So it can't be that good, right?
Yeah,
So,
just
like,
get some YouTube clips of the good scenes, and you're good.
Basically, if you're gonna watch it on Netflix, just fast forward until you see Garrick again, and then when he leaves the screen, just fast forward again.
This has a 7.
Because I think you'll still get the entire story for the most part.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has a 7.2 on IMDb with 1,800 votes. Directed by Les Landau and written by somebody. Renee Echeverria. Sorry. And we would call this. I think we can safely call this an Esri episode, wouldn't you?
No shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Davan said in the chat, there's a Garrick episode. No. He's the best thing in the episode.
It should have been a Garrick
but
episode.
It is not
but
a Garrick episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's more like a plot device in the episode, you know. But his performance is
what a
stellar.
device.
Yeah, so I think like if it wasn't for Andrew Robinson and what he does in this particular episode, I think this episode would easily be like below a 5 for me. But he really brings it up, you know, and it's not a critique of Nicole Dubois herself. I don't.
I think she was given. She's got a really tough position here because she's replacing a very fan favorite character, but she has to make it her own. But the writing is just not there. Like this has nothing to do with her. I'm sure she's fine, except for her crying ability. Her crying ability is terrible.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah. It wasn't a good cry. She's not a good fake crier.
Don't hire her to cry in your production because it's not good.
She couldn't be the captain of the Discovery.
No.
Yeah. Well, guess what, guys? The next episode is the classic "Take Me Out to the Holosuite."
That sounds like baseball.
That's right. It is baseball. The famous baseball episode. I think
I'm very at odds on this episode because it's like I could show up and smash baseball for an hour, but the episode is a good episode. So it's,
you know, like Jane doesn't like sports, but she likes sports movies. So maybe
that's me too. I love sports movies.
Right. So
I like
deal with sports.
And it's kind of like that. It's probably my favorite sports TV episode. You know, when I think of like just doing a one-off sports episode.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. It's a good episode. Unfortunately, it has to do with baseball as well.
The Simpsons baseball episode's pretty good.
Oh, true.
Burns gets all the ringers.
Oh yeah, Badly, I told you to shave those, trim those sideburns.
Norman has this one perfect. He's like, this is overrated for me. Would have been better in an earlier season, not during the Dominion War. That baseball episode. I agree.
Specifically the baseball episode?
Yeah,
well,
I think that's what he's talking about. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I do feel like, okay, like this 7th season, it is a really quiet beginning. You get these.
It doesn't really kick in for about, if I remember correctly, about 7/8 episode in, somewhere around there.
Jadzia is dead, and there's no I feel like there's just no we're gonna get Ducat, we're gonna bring him to justice, we're gonna do that. It's none of that is happening, right? It's it's just they're like, I don't know. I feel like that's part of what I'm really struggling with, because when Claudia Christensen's character left Babylon 5, she just left. She didn't die, so it was very different. That is what does make it different. So
Babylon
5? Great show. Sam's gonna be checking it out.
Never heard of it.
Sorry, I fell asleep there.
Yeah.
I nodded off a couple times during this episode, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, the next one is Take Me Out to the Holosuite. We'll have Adam Woodward here, a big baseball fan, to talk about that. Davan said he's coming no matter what for that. So
I thought Davan was coming for this one.
He said if we needed the numbers, I guess he figured we didn't need the numbers. So
we're all worth at least 2. So.
We will input Davan's rating.
It'd be like having 6 people on automatically.
We'll find out if that 6 comes up. But so far this season 7 is at a 6.7. I feel like next episode will bring it up, because I think that I'm likely going to give that a good rating. I think most of us will. Even though it is, I wish the story was coming, but I know that there's another 20 episodes after next episode, that we still have to get through. So there's still a lot of time for them to do the things they need to do. Will this be this time? Oh, we'll be back on Monday for the next one.
Yes. Yeah, this was just unfortunately Dave had some prior commitments, which are a little bit more important than.
Well, I was meeting. I was meeting with the Federation of Podcasts people, which is a good segue. So, if you didn't know, we're part of the United Federation of Podcasts, and that's what I was meeting up last night with Jaemeel and Chris Murphy, who I've never met in person before last night. So I finally met him, as well as André.
Was it everything you hoped for?
Yeah, it was everything I hoped for. Maybe I don't know about.
I bet it was more.
It was at least everything I hoped for.
Oh, good.
So possibly more. And speaking of Chris Murphy, he has a podcast with Davan called Hold Up, where they talk movies.
It's a very good podcast.
3 movies in a theme. I think they're talking about radio movies next, Airheads and others.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, so check out their next podcast. I think they're on Wednesday this week.
I gotta figure out when I'm on there next, because I am booked for something, but I don't know when.
I think I'm booked in the future too, but I don't know. They'll just tell you when you're ready.
Yeah, they'll tell me like a week before.
X-Rated, the X-Men animated review, an X-Men podcast. I will be on next Tuesday, I believe, to talk about X-Men, the movie from 2000. That
I love that movie.
I need to film the scene at Spencer Smith Park where I'm going to jump over that barrier and pretend like on the X-Men coming over Liberty Island. That's my I got to get that ready.
Gonna go for that, are you?
Yeah, I think that's really going to impress them. I'm going to overlay.
I think so too.
I personally, that is one of the only reasons why I'm even going to tune in.
Yeah,
see that now.
I was talking to André about that last night, and we're like, we both like this movie. We're like, oh, David's not gonna like this movie when we talk about it, but we'll get to it.
What, the original X-Men movie?
Yeah, Davin's apparently not a fan. So,
really? I thought it was one of the best ways they've ever done it.
He told André it's worse than I remember. When he watched it,
he remembers. Wow.
Yeah. So look out for that.
Has he watched the third one? Because the third one's terrible.
The third one is the worst one. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, until the X-Men Origins Wolverine and some of those other.
Yeah, Origins Wolverine wasn't very good either. But the Wolverine was good.
True. Also in the Federation, Eamon on Track. Kevin Millard on last night talking about the 9 Inch Nails album, Pretty Hate Machine, I believe.
Yes.
Love that album.
That was a good conversation. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And we were pretty simpatico.
I looked at the ratings this morning. You guys you were pretty lined up. Eamon gave it the lyrics 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. So he was liking that thing. Are these movies with Jennifer Lawrence?
No, that's the second generation of the movies.
Yeah, those are the first class.
They're
movies.
talking the first generation, which
we're
was
talking
2000, 2003, and 2005, I think.
I think so. Yeah, but the original movie, Patrick Stewart and all that original cast, a lot of it was filmed in Toronto, and one scene was filmed across the street from where I live.
Right where Dave lives. Yeah,
I live on Liberty Island, guys. I'm the statue.
Well, you're a little ways from Liberty Island, but you're close.
I'm pretty close.
Yeah.
You can see it from your house.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
More or
Well, I guess technically not, but
No.
Yeah.
So
he faces the other way. But
when you actually look at pictures of Liberty Island, it doesn't look anything like Spencer Smith Park, but whatevs. I think those are all the plugs. Oh, Super Mater Brothers podcast will be on tomorrow talking about Survivor. So Survivor 45 is into the final 7 now, guys. Look out for that. It's going to be finishing up soon.
Nail biter.
Yeah, you can't even believe what's happening this season.
I can't. You know what? I couldn't believe that particular person got evicted or something, and then another person got evicted after that.
I know, it was such a shock, right?
You know what? It was almost as much of a shock as my local sports team.
Actually, when I look at this cast photo and I look at like the guy in the middle there, the tall guy, Drew, like he has changed a lot over this season. It's only been 20 something days, but he's basically turned into Napoleon Dynamite. And it's something to see here, like how fast people lose weight out there, like after 20 days, like 3 weeks of not eating or whatever.
Well, that will do it.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's riveting, though. It's riveting television.
It is. In 90 minutes.
I can't stop watching it. Kevin and I, we have our watch parties.
Yeah. I'll be on with Josh Foster.
Wait,
and
it's fucking 90 minutes?
Every episode is 90 minutes now.
Jesus.
Kevin, you know that.
I mean,
that's how long we party.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when we're not watching Big Brother.
Right.
We're not watching Big Brother. And on that note, we'll leave you guys here on a clip. I liked this little speech from Garrick, so I'll play you out. It's about 30 seconds, and we'll see you next time for Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite. Thanks to the whole panel. Thanks to all those in the live comments. See you next time.
I mean, look at you. You're pathetic. A confused child trying to live up to a legacy left by her predecessors. You're not worthy of the name Dax. I knew Jadzia. She was vital, alive. She owned herself. And you don't even know who you are. How dare you presume to help me? You can't even help yourself. Now get out of here before I say something unkind.
Get out of here. We'll see you next time.
Move over, Cisco. That's how you dress someone down.
That's how you take someone down.
Some damn sloppy work. All right. See you next time.
Now let's get out of here.